Hi everyone, we're back. Our weekly session, Tuesday Market Video Analytics. I'm Cuzin. This session is powered by Liteforex broker, and I'm happy to share my trading activities with you guys, let you into my real trading room, to my real platform, and show you not only my trading activities but also my convictions. Today I'm going to focus on the cryptocurrency market. I think we're breaking in a critical moment, literally critical moment, one that we haven't seen for probably a year now. I think we're reaching that point of bottom. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to present two case studies, most importantly, of course, the Bitcoin, and then I'm going to give you a glance on the technical picture of the Litecoin and try to come up with the conclusions. Obviously, I'm going to try to share with you my conclusions with regards to what's going to happen in the near future. So it's going to be super interesting. Join me in. Let's go ahead and take a look. Alright guys, I'm really super excited about this. I have to say, this is happening right now live. We are about to engage with a huge key level, which I predicted about 8 months ago, probably 9 months ago. At the beginning of 2018, I've predicted that price will actually reach that key level. And you know, when I said that back then, it sounded a little bit crazy. And I even got a few comments telling me that, you know, I'm completely off the charts with this prediction. But I'm going to share with you my decision-making process that led me to believe we're going to hit these very levels that we're hitting right now. And I'm going to also share with you the actual analysis that led me to that conclusion. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I think we are about to reach the very bottom, the very end of this bear market. Now let's go ahead and explore the technical situation here, right? Now just bear in mind, we've seen the most amazing, the most remarkable upside trend ever in the history of the financial markets. Just in 3 years, right? 3 years took the Bitcoin to push from 200 all the way to 20,000, right? Think about it. 200 to 20,000 in 3 years. It's basically unparalleled, really. In such a, you know, it's such a short period of time to gain such an incredible amount of value, it's really unprecedented. So just think about these type of moves. Obviously, I mean, I would say the majority, the vast majority of time, when you have such a strong move, it always followed by a equal counter move, right? Aggressive move will always follow by an aggressive correction. Now, when I say an aggressive correction, I mean both from time period perspective, so it's going to be long, right? But most importantly, I'm talking about price. From price perspective, it's going to be deep, right? It's going to be as deep as possible, but still staying in the range of a downside correction. Now, for that, we have Fibonacci, right? Fibonacci is the best, by far the best definition for any type of correction or a counter move. So we can basically measure the potential of the downside correction. Now, back at the beginning of 2018, I saw price begins to drop below 13,000 and then reaching 12,000. And at that point, I figured out that we may be looking at a serious downside correction. And then I thought to myself, you know, I was trying to find out the bottom, just the last bottom, from where price roughly began the straight upside trend that led it all the way to 20,000. And I figured out that it was roughly around, let me take you to that point, it was roughly around here. Take a look, the beginning of 2015, actually January 2015, that was the last low, the lowest low from where price only went up, right? So we're talking about 3 years, right? Almost 3 years, not even that. But from that point, I began to measure the whole upside trend. So from this particular low, from the very bottom of it, all the way to the very top. Because what I was trying to figure out was how low can this downside correction go. Now, I have to admit, I had no idea that it's going to take a year, right? I thought maybe a few months could drive Bitcoin all the way to that last line of correction. But obviously what happened was a big part of that downside correction was basically kind of a sideways movement, right? Kind of a trading range, which is why it was taking so long for price to reach that level. But what so basically what I did was I kind of figured out that for such an extreme upside move, there's going to be an extreme correction, which going to basically fulfill its full potential and reach the very last level of downside correction. Now, by definition, the very last level of downside correction is the 76.4, right? 76.4% of the basic move, of the move that you're measuring. This is the maximum, this is the maximum downside correction, which above that, beyond that point, it's no longer considered to be a correction. It's considered to be a full shift in the trend, right? It's considered to be a full reversal, full-fledged reversal, not a correction, not a technical correction. Now I'm saying this because I want to show you what happened when I put my my measurement from the very beginning, right? January 2015, and I'm going to take it all the way to 20,000, right? Basically, I'm measuring the whole upside trend, right? 3 years of upside trend all the way to 20,000, and I want you to focus on this level. This is the 76.4. Let me show you, just so we're right. You can see it right here, 76.4. I can actually take out the ones that not relevant, right? And there you go. Take a look at the price, 4,756, right? Let's call it 4,750. And now take a look at what's happening right now as we speak, guys. This is amazing. We're just breaking in light of this huge event. This is a huge event. This is a huge milestone. Finally, the Bitcoin had reached, right? Wow, it's just touched base right now as we speak. When we started this session just a couple of minutes ago, price was still above 4.8, and right now it's just touching base, really slightly touching base on that 76.4, as you can see at 4,756. So this is what we call a hard landing, right? Price made it all the way to the very last level of correction. Now at this point, I actually think that we're looking at the very bottom of the bear market that started, at the beginning of the year. We're talking about almost 12 months of downside correction phase, which finally reached, as you can see, the very last line of defense, right? Last line of resort, the 76.4. Now, what should we expect at this point? Now, usually, an upside reversal in this case, that's what we're looking for, right? Bottoming out. Bottoming out of a market is more of a process rather than a sudden move. It's more of, kind of a curvy move rather than a sharp V type move. So what we could expect at this point is for price to stay and keep flirting with that key level for quite some time. It could take a few weeks, sometimes even a few months, where price will just dance around that key level. It will go back and forth, kind of flirt with that level, spike it from below, spike it from above. But at the end of the day, it will keep closing above that level. I'm saying keep closing. I'm talking about the weekly bar and most importantly the monthly bar, which is the highest authority. So as long as the monthly bar keeps closing above 4,750 here and not below, that's going to be a very good very good indication that we are indeed bottoming out. And we are indeed at the very end of this downside correction phase, and it is indeed a downside correction rather than anything else. A monthly close below 4,750 will suggest that the situation of the market is much more grim than we have ever imagined, right? At that point, I would have no tool to measure the potential of the downside move beyond 4,750, right? Now, I would like to be cautious from a false breakdown. This is why I'm trying to filter out these false breakdown with the weekly close and the monthly close, which this is exactly their purpose. All right, so you're joining me right now in a critical moment where the Bitcoin is touching base on the 76.4, by definition, the last level of correction. After a full year, all 2018 was all about downside movements. So this is amazing stuff. But like I said, we want to see the reaction on that 4,750. We want to see price begin to shift from this point on, begin to break away from that level on the upside. So we want to see a visible turnaround. That's the most important part. We do not want to try to catch a falling knife, right? Price could go much lower, by the way, right? It could go to 3,500 and then come back with leaving a huge spike, a huge tail, but still closing by the end of the month, still closing about 4,750, which is why you don't want to try and catch a falling knife. We would like to see the beginning of a visible upside reversal before I'm going to pull the trigger and probably establish a big position with the long-term perspective in mind. Right? Not only short-term perspective, but really long-term perspective, because this may actually be the very bottom of the bear market. Now, before we go, I want to touch base on another interesting case. Like I said, I'm going to show you quickly. I'm going to show you the Litecoin. Now, the Litecoin doesn't present as strong as a case study as the Bitcoin, right? The Bitcoin, I've shown you the bigger picture coming from the monthly chart and the weekly chart, monthly chart. The whole upside move was measured very effectively. Here, we're looking at more of a local key level that I'm following up with. Now, this local key level happens to be right now. By the way, you can see how price is battling against that level. I'm talking about the 36.59 here. Now, this particular level, let me switch. All right. So this particular level, 36.59, happens to be a Fibonacci projection 1.618, where you apply it on the previous significant opposite move, right? Because you can see there are a few opposite moves, right? There's this one, that one, and this one. The most significant from those is the first one. It's pretty easy to see, right? So I was measuring that move, and I was applying two key levels, the 1.236 and the 1.618, which is the most important one. Take a look what happened here just yesterday. Take a look at the reaction we had here. I'm talking about yesterday. Price was engaging with that level, touching base, right? Basically starting to trade a little bit below at some point, but then coming back up, closing back above, leaving that tiny spike. Now we see price trying to break again. So price is challenging that same level again. And it's quite interesting that it's happening. It's happening. I mean, don't get me wrong. There is a very high correlation between the Litecoin and the Bitcoin, no doubt. But their technical picture also quite resembles in the sense that both the Bitcoin and the Litecoin right now engaging with a very important key level, right? Very important support level. Now, even though it looks like the Litecoin is trying to break below 36.59, I'm not sure that's going to be the case by the end of the day, or more importantly, by the end of the week. So I actually expect price to come back up, right, and close back above that level, by the end of the week. That's the more importantly, right? By the end of the week, that's how we filter out noise. So we want to see price comes back up, close by the end of the week, but above 36.59, and then we want to follow up a little bit, because I think this could be my main trigger for a long-term perspective bullish conviction. I want to see price not only finds bottom at the 36.59, but also breaking above 44.31. Once that happens, I'll have a lot of confidence to establish a big position on the Litecoin, taking this long-term perspective, right? And obviously, it has to be paralleled with everything that's going on the Bitcoin itself. And we saw the technical picture is quite fascinating. Anyway, this is the situation right now in the cryptocurrency market. Bottom line is I'm still bearish on the outlook, but this is the very end of this phase. Basically, I'm beginning to engage with the very early stages of a bullish conviction, right? So it's going to be fascinating to see how things are going to unfold. I'll be here to keep you posted. As always, don't forget, subscribe to our channel, and till next time, be well.